Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna make this gray alien. Let's jump right into it. So nothing on this alien is like, there's no safety eyes, nothing is plastic. This is all crocheted using yarn, the entire thing. The arms are crocheted on. The legs are crocheted on, not sewn on. Everything is crocheted on, including his head. This is what his head looks like from the side. Because everything is crocheted on, we need to make the arms and the legs first. I changed his fingers. What we're going to do is just he's gonna have 3 fingers, but they're gonna be like this because this kept moving around too much. And if you wanted to do this, you just got to put a chain 2 in between. So I'll tell you when we get to that point if that's how you want to make the hand. But the hand we're going to make today is just going to be a 3-fingered hand like that. So that's the only change I made with this guy. The original design was a great idea, however I had to keep moving it. So I am using this gray. I don't know the color of this gray, it's just gray, but it is, I think it's this. Yeah, it definitely is. Let me see if I can find it. I do have another ball. So this is it. This is what I'm using. It's Craft Smart Value, and the color is light gray. So that's what I'm using for my gray alien. Now let's jump right into this. So this is a 4-weight worsted. It calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook. So I'm going to use a 4.5 because we're going to do this in amigurumi style. So the hook has to be smaller because it's just a tighter style. And that's how we're going to do it. So we need to make the fingers first. We need to do 3 fingers. 2 of them we're going to cast off or fasten off from. The one we're not fastening off from. So make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. This is going to be part 1, by the way. There's probably going to be multiple parts. For the next 6 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches for 6 rows. Easy peasy. You can use a stitch marker, or you can count to 36. You're going to cast off. So let's try to make this video a little quicker. So you're going to cast off of 2. Cast off, I'm not knitting. You're going to fasten off 2. You're not going to fasten off the 3rd one. So I'm going to put all this up on a screen, including the pattern to make the other fingers, which is pretty simple. And you can go ahead and do all that, and I'll meet you back and we can crochet the fingers together. So let's just make all of our fingers and get them out of the way. I will put on the wall to fasten off 2, but not the last one. Definitely not the last one, because we need that to crochet the fingers together. I will see you on the other side. I gotta put stuffing in mine. This is the 3rd one. So I'm still attached. I have not fastened off. I just gotta stuff mine. I put a little bit of stuffing in. It's completely up to you whether you want to put stuffing in or not. You don't have to. It's just a tiny little finger. But I chose to put it in mine. So I've got my other fingers here. So I'll show you how to get the other hand that I did. I'll show you what to do if you wanted to make the other hand. But first of all, let's put our marker in. So we're going to do 1 single crochet for our marker. And then we're going to grab another finger. So all of these, I've left a little tail for sewing. So right next to where I fastened off, I'm going to go into that stitch. A little awkward. So I just flip it around and make a stitch. So that's stitch number 1. I want you to do 2 more. Single crochet, and now we add the other one. Right here, before I went, if you wanted a hand like my other doll, you could chain 2, then go into your finger and attach it. That's all I did. I put a chain 2 in between those 2 fingers. This one I'm not, so your hand is going to look like that. So you've got your 2 single crochets you've done, and now you can go into the next finger and just flip them all over. Make my stitch, and now single crochet around. Easy peasy. So if you're doing the chain 2, you're going to have to make sure you get into the chain itself when you come back around. So I'm here where I fastened off that finger, and that's where I joined before, so I'm going to go into this next available stitch and put my stitch in there. Make sure you're getting into this fasten off stitch though, where you fastened off, because that's a stitch. Just move your stragglers out of the way. Go across into the next available stitch on the other finger. Make your stitch and around to the marker. So we'll worry about these stragglers later. They are for sewing. What you can do to get them out of your way right now is just pull them through the bottom. So we're sewing in between the fingers where the holes are, so you can just pull them through, because that's where we need them to be anyway, is on the other side. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch around. You should have 18 stitches. So just pull those through. Gets them out of your way a little bit. Oh, I got one more stitch. Anyway, 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and then we have to decrease. Just to give the hand some shape. So make sure you put your marker back in. If you have a chain 2 here, you'll have to get into the chain itself, the 2 chains. And that's 18. So now we have to decrease. So you're going to do 2 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 14 stitches, and that's the size we want. So that's number 1. That's number 2. And then your decrease. I'm going to do invisible decreases just because of the color and the size of the project. Right now it's Pretty small. I don't really want any gaping holes. Not that I think I'm gonna have gaping holes, but invisible stitches are just a decrease done, or invisible decrease is just a decrease done in the front loops only. Although people will argue with you and say that there's different ways to do it, and there are different ways to do it. This is the way I do it. So if you know of another way, go right ahead. So you're not going to be able to finish the sequence, but you should have 14 stitches. So the last 2 stitches, just put 1 single crochet each. So let's sew up in between the fingers. I mean, it's just something you cannot avoid. It's nothing that you've done wrong. So we're just going to do a simple whip stitch. Sorry. It's just a couple stitches. So on my second stitch, I'm going to go through the loop and make a knot to secure that. And then I'm going to go down into the stuffing of the finger and come out. I'll cut that off in a minute. You're going to realize this is how easy this is and wonder why you haven't been doing it this whole time. Alright, so there's our hand. The reason this looked like this is because I crochet it together, but these do pull apart. That'll be your hand if you did it my way, the way I'm doing it for the video. And if you're doing it with the chain 2, then this will be your hand, which is a nicer looking hand, but some people would find it more difficult, I think. So that's why I changed the design. So for the next 21 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches. So hopefully you have a row counter. This one was given to me by Hobby Lobby. It's got Hobby written up there, but you can buy them at Amazon, Michael's, stuff like that. It's called a row counter. So for the next 21 rows, 1 single crochet, 14 stitches. I'll see you on the other side. So that's my 21 rows. I have stuffed it. You don't really need a sewing tail, so I fastened off of this one with a sewing tail. But this is, we're not sewing it to the doll, we're crocheting it to the doll. So you can fasten off with just a regular tail. I think I just fastened off with an extra long one because just in case something went wrong. We're not doing anything to the top. This is all going to stay open because we have to crochet it onto the doll. So go ahead and make your second one. I'm going to put the pattern up for everything. But just remember, if you're doing this to your hand like the first doll, you're going to have to chain 2 in between. Actually, I can make mine do that right now without even doing that. But so if you've chained 2 and had gone and done it that way, just remember, the pattern I put up is going to be just a regular 3-fingered arm. It's not going to be the one with the chain 2. So just keep that in mind if you're doing the chain 2. And I'll see you back here and we'll get the foot done. And then that's probably going to be the end of the video because it is time consuming And I don't want to start the body of the alien until we have, like, I don't want to start and then stop halfway, and I don't think that there's going to be enough time to do it in this video. So we'll get the foot done, and that'll be the end of it. So I will see you back here when your second arm is done and we can start the foot. Alright, so this is going to be your foot. It is 20 rows this way. But first we need to make the toes, just like the fingers. It's kind of be done the same way, except for we're going to put a heel on it. So, same thing. You got to make 3 toes. 2 you're going to fasten off of. The last one you're not. So, the toes are simple, and very short, fast. You're going to make a magic ring with 6 single crochets. You're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches for 4 rows. So just about the same as the fingers, just a little bit shorter. So go ahead, make 3, don't fasten off the last one. So I'm just putting stuffing in my little toe. It doesn't take much. Alright, so we're going to put these together like we did our fingers. So go into the next stitch, put your marker in. That's number 1. We're going to add a toe. So right where you fastened off, the very next stitch, the only one that you can easily get into. Make a stitch. That's number 1, 2, and 3. Add a toe into the stitch you can get into. Make your stitch. And the exact same thing we did with the fingers. We're going to crochet around. Into that fasten off space. It can be a little tight. So then go across to your toe to the first stitch that you can get into. You don't need to pull tight here. There we go. So now we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so you should have 18 stitches, just like our hands. It's really similar to the hand because I felt it needed to be the same size, and the only thing different is the height by 1 row, really, and I mean the shape. And that's 18. So at this point, we can do our sewing. So, our next row, this is going to be a little bit different because I needed a certain number to get a certain number. I know that doesn't make sense to you right now, but I design things the way I design them. So the next one is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. So this brings you down to 12 stitches. I know what you're going to say. The arm was 14 stitches. It should be the same size. It will be the same size. Trust me. That's 1 single crochet. And then your decrease. Now, don't think you have to do the invisible decrease, because you don't. You can do whatever you're comfortable with doing. So this gives me 12 stitches. For the next 2 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. I just put a little bit of stuffing in mine. Okay, so this is where we start making the heel. I want you to do 6 single crochets. That's number 1. That is 6 single crochets. I want you to chain 1 and turn. So now you're looking at the back of what you just did, right in there. I want you to do 2 single crochets. So you got to pull this back because you got to get into this first stitch. So 2 single crochets. I want you to do a decrease in these 2 stitches, just a regular decrease. And then I want you to do 2 single crochets. So 1 in there, and then 1 where your marker is. You don't need to take it out, you can just work around it. Chain 1, turn your work. Now I want you to do 1 single crochet, a decrease, regular decrease, and 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. So this is what you should have at this point. So now I want you to do 4 single crochets, so 1 in each stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. So I want you to follow these 4 stitches across, so 1 in each stitch. That's my 4 stitches. So now down the side here, there's no stitches, but I want you to put 2. So I'm going to put 1 in there, just wherever your hook can fit. I'm going to put 1 in there. And then I'm going to do 6 single crochets across the bottom here. So I'm at my marker that I'm going to remove. That's 6 single crochets. So I'm going to take my marker out because we're going to end up with a new spot for that. So I did 2 stitches on the other side. I got to do 2 stitches on this side. So try to make them somewhat even. Do your 2 stitches to bring you back up to the top. And now we're back up to the top. This first stitch is where your new marker is going to go. So that's going to be stitch number 1. You're going to single crochet around this here. You should have 14 stitches. That's number 1. And that's 14 stitches. I get under the entire stitch. That is 14 stitches. So that's your heel. It'll look better when you stuff it. That's your heel. And this is where your leg is going to start. So that's what it should look like at this point. From here, so we just did that 1 row. Let me put that on my counter. We just did that 1 row. You're doing 21 rows altogether, so from here we have 20 rows of 14 stitches, 1 single crochet in each stitch. And I stuff along the way. Please stuff along the way. And when we stuff this, stuff it like it has a heel. Like, I don't think you can help but stuff it that way, but stuffing and shaping kind of goes together, so just stuff this so that it has a heel. You might have to push down and push that out a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, shape it so it has a heel. So do your 20 rows, 21 all together, but we just did this 1 together. And I will see you on the other side. So, I am just finishing the stuffing. And this is going to be the it for the video, because it's been time consuming to make the two arms and legs. So I don't want to start the body of the alien and have to stop part way. I hate doing that. So actually, don't fasten off this. Do not fasten off the leg, so you're gonna have to stay attached. Sorry, I almost screwed up there. This one we fastened off. This one we need still attached because we need to crochet the two together. So do not fasten off. Keep that attached, and I would just simply, if you're going to stop for the day, I would just simply put your marker around your loop so that nothing happens to your loop. And I will see you in part 2, and we'll start crocheting this guy. Thanks for joining me.